A basic question here, if somebody gave you $40,000, how much gold would you buy? Okay, I'm not sure if the analysts are getting a little bit louder lately or I'm just paying more attention, but the stock market could be setting up for correction in a few months. Crypto might be making another run, and then gold might be going up or it might be going down. It really just depends on who you listen to. So if you're wondering where to put your money right now, well, you're not alone. I know a lot of people are thinking about it because it keeps coming up in the comments. So people will mention that they have $10,000 or $40,000, and then the question is, how do you split that up? Do you send it all to metals? Do you send it all to investments? Or how do you carve it up to send it to both? Now, I don't have any way of knowing where any of the markets are going. So really, all I can do is mention what I'm doing myself or what I personally prefer. But I can also make a point about how I typically buy gold because I try to do it in a way that doesn't prevent me from making investments in the first place. Basically, I just carve out a budget by removing something I don't need. Maybe that's every television channel available to man. I don't need those channels. And you'll hear that called improvement by subtraction. Maybe instead I'll just try to find a way to bring in a little bit more cash to devote to it. Probably it's some combination of those two, but I don't reallocate money that I plan to invest. So the $40,000 example that was given a few times, I'm not sure what's special about that particular amount, but it did come up multiple times. My take was that I'd send half of that into the market, $20,000 toward the stock market, and then I'd split the remaining amount between gold and cryptocurrency. And I know people don't like to hear it here, but that's what I would do. The cryptocurrency, if we're getting specific, I would split it between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. And I think where the point starts to make sense here is that if it was $100,000, I would still only put $10,000 into gold. Even though I think the market's due for a correction, I think we have a few months there at least. I think potentially at the beginning of next year, that's when we'll see it happen. But I would be betting mostly on stocks related to the infrastructure bill and Apple. I still think there's room to move there. I don't see gold as a growth asset. I see it as more of a protection. And the reason that I wouldn't buy more metals with a lump sum right now, it's simply that I already have a base of metals personally. I also have a buying schedule that I like. Now, if I had no metals, I'm not completely sure what I'd do. We're in a really weird place right now at $1,800. If we continue to close above $1,800, analysts have been saying that there is more room for the price of gold to climb. But if it can't hold $1,800, well then it might drop to challenge $1,670. That's a pretty big drop. And we all know that the analysts have no idea what's coming. They're just basing that off of probable trends at different trading levels. They have no way of knowing what's coming up on the geopolitical landscape. You can't predict the news. And because I'm not planning to sell my gold anytime soon, I'm not particularly concerned about the price. At least I'm not as long as I'm spreading my purchases out over time. I'd be a little bit more concerned about price if I was just about to put $40,000 into gold. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you have that $40,000 and you want to go all in on metals, that would be great fun. I mean, buy a tube of Buffaloes. I doubt you'll regret it. But again, there's a possible scenario where lower prices are right around the corner and we're going to see ups and downs. So if you're buying those Buffaloes, you're going to want to do it with the mindset that you're holding on to them for more than a few years. Now, if I found a way to buy gold through subtraction, again, that would be through cutting out things that we don't need or with added income. Maybe that's YouTube AdSense, maybe that's profit from cryptocurrency, whatever it is, then I don't have to worry, or you don't have to worry, where the prices are going in the short term. Because there's no opportunity cost loss. You're not taking money from potential growth assets. So I would probably not even split up that $40,000 between metals and investments. I'd invest that $40,000 and then I'd buy gold in increments. Now, for the record, I do buy gold more aggressively if we see a big price drop, but that's outside of the scheduled purchases that I've been talking about. Now, incremental buys fall under something called continuous improvement. I've seen people call it the idea of 1% improvement every day. Now, it's the same idea from what I can tell, and you can call it whatever you'd like, but basically it works like this. You set a big goal and then you just make continuous improvement toward that goal. But the important part is that you compartmentalize, you pay attention to the small steps rather than the big outcome, and that keeps you from getting bored, frustrated, or burned out. I've mentioned the quarter-ounce gold purchases I was making for 8 years. I'm not going to go into that again and be repetitive, but those were the small steps. That's what led to bigger goals that I had set. Now, I bought the fractional coins for that quick hit, converted them to larger 1-ounce coins for another hit, and then I built up tubes over time. If I was focused on tubes, or I was focused on, say, goals of maybe 50 ounces, 100 ounces, whatever, it would have just taken too long. I mean, I would have burned out on it. So setting those smaller incremental goals, that lets you see progress. So over that time, I picked up dozens of ounces of gold. I've picked up hundreds of ounces of silver. And it was all through small purchases, or mostly at least through small purchases, that were replacements for things that would have been long gone by now. So I've never had to take money away from investments because of it. So like I mentioned, I've never really had that situation personally where I'm deciding how to divide up $40,000. Now I'll give one exception, because in March of this year, I sold some of my position in Bitcoin and I bought gold more aggressively. Now Bitcoin was at an all-time high and it had had a few hiccups that I just wasn't particularly comfortable with, and gold was coming off of a 15% drop. So that seemed relatively clear. Today it's a little bit different though. Nothing seems particularly clear. I started buying into cryptocurrency again a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, and then I've been buying the recent gold dips. And I'm being pretty careful with stocks at the moment, so maybe I am listening to some of those analysts. If I had $40,000 to split up today, I'd probably wait for a little bit more information. Maybe we get some of that by the end of this week. So to close this down, I think anyone with the means should have some gold personally. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what everybody should do. I can just say that it's been good for me. And I also think that it's important to have hard assets, both as a common sense balance for riskier investments and then also as a backup for emergencies. And because I don't treat it as an investment, I just simply buy it differently than I buy equities. And that's probably something everybody should think through before they start buying. I'd add a poll to see what everyone thinks, but YouTube only allows like 4 options. So let us know in the comments what you think, how you would split up that money if you had $40,000 in imaginary investment capital. And maybe you're like me and you're waiting for that Fed summit later this week. Either way, I think the more important point was the idea of continual improvement and improvement through subtraction, but it's always fun to spend imaginary money, so let us know what you think. And while you're there, hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed if you enjoy the topic, and if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.